In the AFC, the Bills and Chiefs have already clinched their playoff spots. The Chiefs are a hard team to really ever count out, especially when at the number 1 seed. On the other hand, they have had a lot of close games with some not-so-great teams. I think this team keeps finding ways to win and will continue to do so in the playoffs. Whether or not they make it 3 Super Bowls in a row is yet to be seen, and I believe there might be a new team winning it all this year. The Bills also look very strong. The Bills have done a better job at building a lead on worse teams. Their wide receiver room looked to be a real weakness at the beginning of the season, but with the late addition of Amari Cooper and both Keon Coleman and Khalil Shakir getting things going, this looks to no longer be the case. Unfortunately, they did have a hard loss to the Ravens earlier in the season. They have looked solid on defense, but 199 yards on the ground to a 30-year-old Derrick Henry is not a good look. They still, however, have a great team and an opportunity to be there for the final game of the season. Steelers are next up at 9-3. The Steelers' defense is formidable with the dominant TJ Watt leading the way. Russell Wilson also just had a statement game, passing for 414 yards and 3 touchdowns. The Steelers look like a complete team and even have good options at backup quarterback and 2 good running backs. They look ready for a playoff run this season. Next up, the 8-5 Texans. The Texans look like a solid team but have some issues on their roster. After a phenomenal rookie season, CJ Stroud is having a sophomore slump. Stroud has had his 2 star receivers struggling with injuries for a lot of the season, and this is likely the reason why Stroud hasn't found his groove. The Texans have a fair share of bad losses and good wins throughout the season. They also have some all-stars on their defensive line, led by edge rushing tandem Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson. They have been in the win column less consistently, so they will have to pull out some big games to make a full run. Next up, the 8-4 Chargers. The Chargers' rushing attack was led by a very efficient J.K. Dobbins. Dobbins hasn't done much in his injury-riddled career, but this year things were finally taking off. Unfortunately, he was recently placed on the IR and will likely be out until the playoffs at best. Rookie receiver Ladd McConkey and quarterback Justin Herbert are building great chemistry. Quentin Johnston, a second-year receiver, also looks to be showing flashes. With these 2 young receivers, Herbert is playing better than ever and can move his team forward with the offense. With a solid defense and some playmakers on offense, this team has a chance to upset some teams in the playoffs, but will need to make some big plays on both sides of the ball to make a real playoff run. The Ravens are sitting at an interesting 8-5 record, with debatably 2 of the top MVP candidates, Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, leading their offense. They are anything but easy to stop. Their defense is also extremely tough to go against. Without looking at their record, you might think that they'd be a 2 or 3 loss team, but things haven't exactly gone their way. In my opinion, some of their worst losses of the year have come to the Browns and the Raiders, 2 teams with far less talent but managed to win against the Ravens. Both were close games, maybe even looked like the Ravens would win, but they didn't. I think this Ravens team has a great shot in the playoffs. They won't be playing at home as often though, so they will have to overcome that obstacle. The last team currently projected in the playoffs is the Broncos. Rookie quarterback Bo Nix looks to be the real deal. He has turned this offense around quickly and is even creating buzz for Offensive Rookie of the Year. The defense looks to be solid all the way through as well. The young Patrick Surtain II is an absolute nightmare for wide receivers, and the rest of their defense is also filled with playmakers. Besides a bad beat by the Ravens, this team looks like they can hold up their own against anyone. My rankings for these teams into the playoffs will start with the Chiefs and Bills. The 2 best records will be playing home games for most of the playoffs and can pull out a win against any team. My second tier will be the Ravens and the Steelers. Both are well suited to play playoff football on both sides of the ball, but I believe the Ravens' offensive firepower will give them the edge in closer games. In my third tier, give me the Broncos. They look great on both sides of the ball and could easily pull out a game, but don't have the talent level of the teams ahead of them. In my last tier, give me the Chargers and the Texans. Both are scrappy teams that can pull off an upset in a division I believe is up for grabs. I do think, however, these teams will be the first to drop unless they can pull together some big wins. Thank you for watching till the end, and if you enjoy this video and want more NFL and fantasy football content, please subscribe.